And we're live.
We are indeed live. Saints fans, welcome back to another episode of Saints TV Live. I hope you're all doing well. Max, how are you on this Tuesday night?
Yeah, doing all right. Awfully tired. We've all sort of basketballs kicked back up. So, yeah, very, very tired, but that's all right because Saints TV's back and it waits for no one.
Yeah, nice. I'm a bit tired myself. Come back to working full time hours on the uni break, so no rest for the wicked, as they say. But we move on because, like you said, Saints TV Live always Saints TV Live on a Tuesday always means it's a good Tuesday. Thank you everyone for joining the stream. Just a reminder to check out Saints TV Weekly and the Saints TV podcast. Both were released yesterday. I think the podcast is now up on YouTube. As always, check out the saintstv.com.au, the new website that Jake's put a lot of time and effort into. Definitely worth checking out. And I believe a new special guest that they've organised for in the coming weeks. Max, can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, yeah, I can a little bit. I believe they've lined up Andrew Bassett. Um, that's correct, right? I'm not making
Yeah.
that up. Am I? Yep,
Yep,
they've
they
lined up
have got Andrew Bassett. Yep, so that'll
Andrew.
be on Saints TV Plus. They'll put out a shortened version, free of charge on YouTube and Spotify. But yeah, if you want the full extended version, make sure to subscribe to Saints TV Plus. I believe it's $6 a month or $60 annually. Be interesting to see whether the boys can get Andrew to maybe make some not political comments. I'm sure he'll be, very, very structured and very well rehearsed in his responses. But yeah, maybe they can break through, and it should be interesting to see what the outcome of that is. Just a reminder: no Bentley Social on Sunday, even though it is an away game. Contrary to popular belief, we actually do have a game this weekend. We aren't just playing the bye. We do have the Eagles. That was a bit of a poor joke there at the Eagles' expense, but you know what I mean. Eagles should be an easy beat team. Obviously, they're coming off 175 or was 100 and something.
Yeah, well, I think Jordan, we watched the fourth quarter together, and I think we stopped counting after Sydney kicked their 30th goal.
Yeah, so I know that Sydney scored 205 points, which is pretty amazing. The final margin was 170 something. If someone in the comments wants to let us know what the official margin was, but yeah. So yeah, should be an easy beat, but we'll get into the Eagles a bit later. But do we want to talk a bit about the Lions game, Max?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was only able to watch the second half of it. I did have basketball commitments for the first half. Unfortunately, I did watch it back on replay. Um, just first and foremost, I thought Jordan the pre-game entertainment, or I don't know if you call it entertainment, but how they structured Spud's game is what I think I'm getting at. Was absolutely sublime. It was perfect. They've not failed to do Spud justice or honor Spud the last 3 years that they've done it. So I think the lead up to the game is quite magical. Is that what it was like at the ground, Jordan, on Friday night?
Well, I thought it was all right. From where I was sitting, I was actually talking to. I had a mate from Sydney come down and another mate from Melbourne who's not a big fan of footy, so I was talking to them during the pre-game stuff, and obviously it was quiet during the 3 minute period where they talked a bit about Spud. But that was really good. The 3 minutes there, they paused. Not starting at 7:50, starting at the game at 7:53 instead to honour Spud and his legacy was really special. I thought the pre-game entertainment was pretty funny. Archie Thompson, one of the celebrity, he got given a penalty. Well, he got given a free kick, but instead of taking a free kick, he took it like a penalty in soccer, which he kicked it along the ground, which was pretty funny. I'm sure all of you know who Archie Thompson is, one of the greatest Australian soccer players of all time. But yeah, I thought it was really good. The pre-game stuff. The game itself, though, was not so good.
Yes, I think you're right. So I've sort of, or in my expert opinion, in my coaching review, I've sort of nailed it down to 4 points, Jordan. If you want to elaborate, please do, and fans as well, or Saners, please comment your thoughts on the game on Friday night. the first comments I've got is that we're too predictable inside the forward 50. That's entering it. Too slow ball movement in and around the ground, inaccurate disposal use, and then not being aggressive enough exiting our back 50. Sanders, what do you think of those 4 points? And Jordan, do you want to elaborate on any of them?
Not particularly. Not willingly that I want to. I will touch on the overuse of the footy. You can tell that St Kilda's struggling when we keep handballing and refuse to take those, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not risky, but threatening kicks in the middle of the ground. It reminded me a lot, Max, the first quarter and the second quarter reminded me a lot of the first quarter against Freo in round 17 last year, where
Yes.
we had significantly more disposals and I think a lot of handballs, a lot more. I think it was like 60% to 40% possession of the footy compared to Fremantle. Had a lot of it, but didn't do much with it. That's what it really reminded me of. A lot of the footy, but not really attacking and not really putting pressure on the Lions. And you're right, we were too predictable inside 50. I think the return of King means that we aren't as unpredictable. People know we're going to kick the fucking ball to Max. Pardon my French, but we're going to kick the ball. We're going to kick the ball to Max King and get out. Everyone else get out of the way. That doesn't work. So surprisingly, the common knowledge that we're going to kick it to Max King, defenders somehow know that we're going to do that. It's quite astounding. So I'm not sure how they got that insight. Clearly, it's the worst kept secret at Moorabbin that we're going to bomb the ball to Max King. Hopefully we can improve on our predictability going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sorry, I think you're right. What made us so dangerous in those first 5 weeks was we had Machito Owens, we had Anthony Caminiti, Buddy Zane Cordy was marking balls inside the forward 50. There was a lot of different options, and we were really spreading the defense, or the opposition's back line. I think trying to get Machito Owens, who we'll touch on later on in the show, leading more inside the forward 50, Anthony Caminiti. When Tim Membry returns, he's another one. Jack Hayes will be another one when he returns. Cooper Sharman, if he's playing in the forward line as the medical sub or the tactical sub, whatever it's called now. I think that just having multiple options, as you said, even if it's not, you're going to honour the lead every single time, it just spreads the defense or the back line a bit more, and it creates a bit more unpredictability going inside 50.
Yeah, I think the 4 points that you made, the predictability inside forward 50, the slow ball movement, and the aggressiveness exiting back, from our defensive 50, combined with the overuse of the footy, I think those are 3 things that we can really work on. The other thing was the inaccurate disposal use, and that's something Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm not sure that you can suddenly, snap your fingers and then everything goes back to, you're suddenly the most skilled footballer in the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that. And if it did, we would have done it, 10 years ago. Is that something that we can fix in the next coming weeks, Max, or is that something we need to look? Do we need to look at more skilled players, bringing in more skilled players through the VFL? And if not the VFL, then do we need to look at skill as an important attribute when we're recruiting players for next season?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. It's quite ironic that disposal is still an issue for us because we rack up the pill a lot, and then under the Ratton era, it was all about getting in people that could, or players that can kick the ball well, handball it well, and use the footy well. This is pretty much everyone that Ratton's picked up, and Ross Lyon hasn't, I don't think, had a say, with the exception of Mateus Philippou. I don't think Ross Lyon's had a say in really anyone that we've brought into the club. Because we'll see at the end of this year when Ross Lyon takes over a full preseason and free agency with that as well. So I think it's a bit ironic that disposal's still an issue after the last 3-4 years we tried to cover it under Ratton. Just saw a comment here. How good was Neil? He was so clean. There was some, I can't remember who leaked it, or if it was on a Footy Classified or something like that. Apparently Lachie Neale has 1,000 touches a day. He does, 100 ground ball gets. He'll do kicks on both his feet, handballs. He'll do everything for 1,000 disposals in a day, every day. And you know what? I don't know if that work ethic's sort of around the four walls at St Kilda. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm gonna say, well, I'll say maybe it is because you've got someone like Jack Sinclair who's improved his game out of sight, and that doesn't happen overnight. Let me tell you, he's definitely put in a body of work behind the scenes. You know, we can't see it clearly, but I reckon he had. Well, actually, we can indirectly see the results of the body of work he's put in. But yeah, I reckon he's done a lot of work behind the scenes. But credit to Lockie Neal, not to take anything away from him, because he was fantastic, and he is fantastic week in, week out. Reminds me a lot of a younger Scott Pendlebury. Just the game seems to slow down whenever he's got the ball. Just always manages to find a target, whether it's by handball or by kicking, and just always seems to make the right choice. And I think that's another thing. I don't know if you have it somewhere written down here, Max. The decision making. I think there were a couple of times Josh Battle was it an interesting kick that ended up in a rush behind. Thankfully, I think managed to save it. But a Josh Battle kick going backwards inside our forward, pardon me, it's been a long day. Going back inside our defensive 50, the Lions eventually, made it a loose ball and rushed behind, thankfully. But yeah, decisions like that, I think decision making is another thing we can focus on.
Yeah, spot on. I'm just reading through a few comments. Mr. DJ Rude Boy said Ross did mention that in our press. We found out a lot about our list. We will touch on that a little later on, but I think we did as well. Maybe didn't find out, but confirmed some of the suspicions we had about our list from Friday night. Robbie's put in an interesting point, which is sort of the crux of a debate Jordan and I had on the weekend. Put King in the ruck to give Marshall a rest in the forward line or on the bench. Let Owens be the target. Not sure if King's the right person, but definitely like the idea of giving Marshall a rest in either the forward line or on the bench with someone else pinch hitting. Yeah. Do we want to sort of wrap up then the review on the Lions game and then start talking about some of our discussion points from the weekend?
Yeah, I think the less said about the Lions game, the better. For those who aren't Max or myself, obviously, if you're watching, you aren't Max or myself. We had a bit of a discussion on the weekend about whether Michito Owens should be the second ruckman or not. Max sent me a post by Kane Collins talking about how Mitch is being used. I believe it's being used incorrectly. He's saying Mitch shouldn't be in the ruck. But Max, I think Kane is missing the fact that Mitch is only spending 15 to 20% of the time in the ruck. The way he was going on what's the show called that they do, the round so far, the way he was talking with Riley Beveridge. Yep. With Riley Beveridge was talking about, Mitch spends so much time in the ruck. He only spends 15 to 20% of the game in the ruck. So I think we need to, remember that. But yeah, do you want to let us know, Sainers, whether you think Mitch should be a pinch hitter in the ruck or not? Max, do you want to give your reasons why you think he should not be?
Yeah, so I ironically 100% agree with Kane Collins. Even if it is 15 to 20% in the ruck, you don't put your star players, your most valuable asset in the ruck, especially when he's not a ruckman. I think he does amazing in the ruck when he's able to play as less of a ruckman and more as a fourth midfielder. Very similar to how Marlon Pickett did it. I think it was 2021 when they didn't really have Callum Coleman-Jones and Mabio Chol. They were on the injury list or on the fringe of VFL and AFL. Marlon Pickett pinch hit a bit in the ruck in 2021. I can already see the debates going through. Mr. DJ Rude Boy says yes, but Chris says no. DK says, yeah. So this is what I'm going to try and get at here. Mitch is a forward and mid, and I absolutely agree. He needs to be playing as the third or second option forward and then trying to get as many CBAs as we can. And without trying to step on your point, Jordan, I think the best way a midfielder learns how to play in the midfield is by putting him in the midfield.
Well, I know you did step on my point a little bit. I think that the best way a midfielder learns how to play in midfield is if they're the size and strength of Mitch Owens, is to play in the ruck and learn how ruckmen tap the ball and learn where the midfielders are going to be. That is directly the best way to learn. how to play in midfield. And Max brought up the argument to say, oh, we don't want Mitch to get hurt or whatever. Again, it's only 15 to 20% of the game that he's spending in there. And I would like to remind Max of a man who we interviewed a couple of weeks ago called Justin Kazitsky, who is not a ruckman per se. You will never find him listed anywhere in the ruck, but he was the most crucial part of the 2010 grand final. He was apart from Lenny Hayes and Brendan Goddard, I would say he was the most important piece of the 2010 grand final draw in our second half comeback, because we only had Michael Gardner. We didn't go in with two ruckmen. We only went in with guards. And the fact, if Cozzy had never played the ruck in his life, we would have been screwed that game. Thank God we had the flexibility and the versatility to go and throw Cozzy in there. And it's very, very lucky that, that we've given him that experience in the past. And that's something we can do with Mitch Owens. To have someone to have in your back pocket someone that is versatile and that we can throw into the ruck at, an opportunity is something that shouldn't be taken for granted. So I think that I disagree with you respectfully, Max. I think that Mitch Owens can continue to play 15 to 20% of his game in the ruck.
Now, Jordan, I ask you this. Was Justin Kazitsky a midfielder?
Did I say, well, okay, he might not have been. He might
be a midfielder.
No, he wasn't a midfielder, but he was a forward. And where's Mitch? Where's Mitch playing at the moment? Is he not playing forward?
Mitch isn't 198 centimeters.
It's still the point still stands that he's, to have someone that's versatile is incredibly important, especially when you're playing with only one ruckman like we are now in Rowan Marshall.
Look, I think you're right in terms of having someone that's the versatility to go into the ruck, but I don't think Machito Owens is. I think Jack Hayes, that we all forget exists on our lists, when he comes back into the side, because he's only 2 to 3 weeks away from training, I believe. Sorry, 2 to 3 weeks away from game fitness. I believe when we go through our injury report, he's back to full training now with Hunter Clark and someone else. But yeah, I think Jack Hayes has been very forgettable over the last 18 months or so, understandably, since he's torn his ACL. But yeah, he's exactly what we need. He was a burst of energy in that first 5 rounds as the pinch-hitting ruckman who could go forward and kick a couple goals. So I agree with you that we definitely need players on the list that need to be able to have multiple skill sets. I think even there was a comment before, actually, a lot of you guys have been commenting in tonight. It's great to see that everyone's been throwing in your opinions. But yeah, there was a comment before that Josh Battle can go on the ruck as well. He's done part-time rucking, which is not horrible either. And yeah, I just think that there's other people on the list other than Machito Owens that can play that 15 to 20% in the ruck.
Okay, but yeah. Let's pinch hitting. You mentioned that I think Mr. DJ Rude Boy said that pinch hitting is it's a good idea for Mitch. I'm not saying that he has to always be the secondary ruckman. I'm just saying that getting some games into him, and we don't have, is a good idea for the future. And I'm not saying we don't have much of a choice right now. Like you mentioned, Jack Hayes. Where is Jack Hayes right now? He's on the injury list.
That's why I said when he comes back.
Who would you have thrown, Max, into the ruck last night when Rowan Marshall was resting? Who would you have thrown instead of Mitch Owens?
Genuinely, I would have put someone like Josh Battle in, or Anthony Caminiti.
I think we would have really struggled. I think we would have really, if we had Anthony. I don't know that Anthony. I don't know that Caminiti has ever rucked in his life. And Josh Battle, when he played against the last time he played against a full-time ruckman was against that game against GWS, the one where Jack Hayes did his ACL. We lost the second half ruck tab 62-2. So I'm not sure that Josh Battle was a viable option. I'm still going to stick by the fact that Machito Owens could be used occasionally in the ruck. I'm happy for him to be the secondary ruckman while we don't have a viable option in Jack Hayes. I do agree that he shouldn't always be the secondary ruckman. That's not what I'm arguing here. But I think to be used as a pinch hitter is completely fine.
Just seen a comment from Xavier. How far away is Keeler from debut? Jordan and I did go to the open day last week, and he is still a bit skinny. But
Yeah,
I reckon he's another viable option for the secondary ruck. He's not as tall as someone like Rowan Marshall or Tom Campbell, but I reckon he's got the bounce to go with it, so he can match people in the air. Very similar to a Paddy Ryder-esque, even though Paddy Ryder was a lot taller, but have that bounce to make up for maybe that 5 to 8 centimeter difference in the ruck. There was another comment saying, sorry, I won't be able to find it now. Oh, this is pretty funny. Simon says, get Cordy in there. I like that because why not? He's a big body.
yeah. Well, let's just throw everyone in there. Why not throw Max King in there? Why not throw? Let's get Jack Higgins in there. Maybe let's if we're giving everyone a go in the ruck, why not just get anyone? Max, can you go in the ruck?
No, I cannot go on the ruck, but Max
Okay.
Heath can go on the ruck. Granted, I don't think he's quite ready yet for a debut. Maybe if it's
No,
really best
Heathy can absolutely not run. Like he struggles to run out a full game at VFL level. He would, with the greatest of respect to Max Heath, he would be absolutely cooked at the AFL level. So I don't think he's the answer quite yet.
Yep,
But yeah,
agreed.
I think this comment here from Guy, I think this would solve the need to have a Mitch Owens debate anyway, because Tom Campbell has to be. I think it's time for a Tom Campbell game. It's supposed to be dry. Oh, we'll talk about it a bit later, but it's going to be, I think, 20 degrees, sunny. It's not supposed to rain on Sunday Arvo at West Coast. It's the ideal game to bring in a ruckman. Let him come in. Let him have some confidence. So you don't have to have Machito Owens go on the ruck and stop Max and I from arguing on social media privately over the weekend. I think Tom Campbell is a good option. Max, what do you think about bringing in Tommy for this week?
No, absolutely agree. I think someone against, imagine putting Rowan Marshall and Tom Campbell against BJ Williams. I reckon, respectfully, he would shit himself if he saw that lineup coming at him. And it'd be awesome to see Tom Campbell move to, like, if we are going to play someone with two rucks, see Tom Campbell, he's very capable of taking on a BJ Williams. And then you get to see Rowan Marshall as the secondary ruck option in that game. Provides another second option down forward, so you're not just kicking to King all the time. You've got another genuine target, and then you've got your roamers in Machito Owens or Caminiti or Sharman, whoever else makes up that sort of key forward position, the 3 and 4th or 3rd and 4th man up, I guess. But yeah, I think Tom Campbell's long overdue for an AFL debut this season. Sorry, not AFL debut, but a debut in 2023 at AFL level.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll move away from rucks for a second because we've been talking a bit about the rucks for a fair amount today. Let's talk about. I want to gauge your opinion on this, Max. Are we playing players in the right positions?
Look, there's a few that I'm not sure about. As we said, the Mitch Owens debate, which I reckon that could be a whole stream in itself. But we're done that now. Moving on to someone like a Ben Patton or a Jimmy Webster. I'm not sure if this is me speaking about them playing higher up the ground on a wing role. I'm not sure if that's the right call. What do you think, Jordan?
I think if he can run, he's fine to play on the wing. I don't think he's back to his best defensively like he was in 2021. I thought, if we're playing both him and Jimmy Webster, I think both probably can't be. Would you play both in the back line, given you've got enough smalls back there? You got Jack Sinclair, who played a bit in the middle on the weekend, obviously, but you've got Wanganeen Miller. You've already got, who are the others that I'm forgetting in the halfback? But there's plenty of options there.
Jack Sinclair.
Well, I mentioned them, but But anyway, I don't think Webster and Patton really can play in the same backline, unfortunately, this season. And clearly Ben Patton's put in a body of work to get that gut running, the similar to Burns style. So Ross Lyon's game plan is to run, and I think if he can run, then he can play the wing position just fine.
Yeah, see, I'm not sold on that. I agree that Webster and Patton, since Patton has returned from his leg break, I don't think they can both play in the same back line, especially with Liam Stocker, how well he's been playing. He's sort of taken up one of their spots which in previous years you could say or make the argument that both of them could play in the same back line and one of them's just used as a lockdown, one of them's a little bit more attacking. Then you also throw Naz back there, as you mentioned, and then you've got all the sort of tools where, well, you've got the attacking side from Naz. Stocker is just a general down back, and then you've got to pick one lockdown defender. I don't think either of them should be playing on the wing. I think players like Mason Wood, Brad Hill, Ronnie Burns, someone even like Hunter Clark, if he's rotating through the midfield instead of putting him at the half-back line, you put him on the wing. D-Mac, when he comes back into the side, Zach Jones could play that role. Like, there's a lot more players that are, I reckon, better runners or better users of the footy than Ben Patton or Jimmy Webster, that they shouldn't be on a wing.
All right. Well, Max, I'd like to get your thoughts on a different player other than Ben Patton and Cooper Sharman. Let's talk about Dougal Howard. Give us the Dukes lowdown. Give us the Dukes lowdown. Is he what we need? Yes or no?
Yes, but not in the role he's currently playing.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that a bit more?
Yep. All right. So, as I've said multiple times on this stream, Dougal Howard played his best footy in 2020, not because he was younger, but because he had another genuine fullback in Jake Carlisle who could take the load off, play a little bit of tandem against those bigger key forwards. And Dougal Howard was not sort of the easy picking target. We did mention last week on the stream that I said Harris Andrews won't go to Max King. They'll have whoever it was that ended up playing on him all game. Just have the lockdown defender on their best player, and then Harris Andrews, who absolutely tore us apart. Be a little bit more of an interceptor, be a bit more free roaming. Whether that's Dougal Howard's role or not, I'm not sure, but have a backup there just in case Dougal isn't playing his best. He can then go to the second best tall, and then he's more than capable of playing on that sort of player.
Yep, fair enough. Sainers, we've asked you, is Dougal Howard what we need? Mr. DJ Rudeboy says, unfortunately, no. Chris Williams says, Dukes up at half forward. I think the reason he came to us from Port Adelaide because he didn't want to play in the forward line anymore. Max, what do you think about throwing Dougal up forward?
No, I think Port Adelaide experimented with it, and yeah, he can get up and mark and do all that, but no, I think if you've made your decision to play fullback, you don't then get to switch to a half forward line, and then we're left with no genuine fullbacks. So, yeah, I think he's playing centre half back. Well, I think his best position is centre half back right now. He's playing fullback, but keep him in the back line. That's my opinion anyway.
Yep, and I think Guy agrees with you here, Max. Brisbane really exposed our lack of height. If we got any smaller in the back line, I heard someone yell out a comment while I was at the game on the weekend. Once, I think, who was it? Eric Hipwood took a mark inside 50, called our defenders a bunch of midgets. And I think he was probably right with that comment, to be perfectly honest. Maybe not the most politically correct. I certainly don't endorse that, but I think the message behind it, the underlying meaning was correct in saying that we are probably a little bit too small and some height could be needed. Which brings us to our next topic, Max.
Sorry, Jordan, just 1 second. This takes us back to the conversation we had in our mid-season review, I guess. Someone like Himmelberg is perfect for to support Dougal Howard, don't you reckon, Jordan?
I do agree. Yeah, give him a bit more freedom, get him to rack up those spoils like he did. I think it was the first half of 2022. He was leading the Golden Fist Award. The Bounce does in honor of Danny Frawley, actually. But yeah, the Golden Fist. He was leading that. So if we can have a bit more freedom, like he did at the beginning of last year, that'd be great.
Yep, absolutely agree. It's sort of looking back on some of the missed targets, we could have got someone like a Lear would have been awesome as well down back for us. And then, the surprise of Jeremy Finlayson, ironically, both two Port Adelaide players, but both of those guys, and got them for absolutely nothing. Pretty much a packet of chips, and then, yeah, they've turned out to be awesome players.
And someone else that also could be interesting is Asava Radigalia, that Port Adelaide again. Clearly made some good decisions in the off-season. Unfortunately, couldn't get over the line with the Radigalia deal, but he is someone that I would I've had my eye on personally for St Kilda for a while. I reckon that Asava would be a good pickup. Let us know your thoughts on Asava Radigalia Sainers. Max, do you think Radigalia would be an ideal candidate?
Oh, absolutely. He's yeah, so they switched him out of the ruck to full back now for Geelong. Struggled in the first 5-6 weeks, but ever since he's sort of picked up the tricks of the trade, and he looks like he's legit down back. And yeah, definitely in terms of size wise, definitely someone that we can use to support Dougal Howard to make him the centre half back, and then Wilkie is the third tall instead of the second tall.
All right. Well, I think maybe enough about Dougal Howard. Let's talk about champion data for a second. This will go into the statistics element of statistics part of this show. On screen now, you're seeing the highest rated players by age in season 2023, and have a look at that. Matthias Philippou, the fourth highest 19-year-old in the game, and Mitch Owens, the second highest 20-year-old uh, behind Collingwood's Nick Dacos, who's obviously the Brownlow favourite, I believe. Him or Zach Butters will probably win it this year, or maybe Tim Taranto, actually. But at least in the top three of the Brownlow at the moment. To be only behind him, according to Champion Data, is something that is, quite phenomenal, isn't it, Max?
Yeah, I go back and forth between Champion Data. I think sometimes they get it absolutely spot on, and other times you just look and go, how are these stats being made up, or who's behind all the whatever they post on. But yeah, it's awesome to see Matthias Philippou, age 19, at the fourth slot, and then Machito Owens at number 20.
Do you think, Max? Sorry, Max, about your comment about going back and forth with Champion Data. Do you think maybe when they produce graphics like this that favour St Kilda, you're more inclined to believe that they're, a legitimate source? Could I suggest that?
No, I'm not sure. Like they come out with some really obscure stats and things like that, and you never know how they calculate it. It's like the top 10 ball users in, the second quarter from the 10-minute mark to the 15-minute mark. It's like, what are you talking about, Champion Data? But anyway, it's like those ESPN stats they put up in NBA games. Yeah, sometimes you're not sure why they put them up. But anyway,
we'll go to the sorry, Max. We'll go to the second half of this graphic. You got Jack Sinclair there as well, behind the one and only Marcus Bontempelli, and Rowan Marshall also sneaks into the top 5 of players aged 28 this year. So clearly those two having a good season. But yep, go on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say the only player I think that is missing from this list, if we can just pull back up this first image, is there someone missing from the 22 age bracket, Jordan?
Is there someone missing from the 22 age bracket?
I think there is, personally. I think Big Max King is nowhere to be seen, nor is his brother. If we're not,
I think Max. I don't. With all due respect, I don't think that Ben King deserves to be on this list. If you look at the players on it, Caleb Sarong is having a hell of a year, and so is Jai Newcomb, I believe.
Absolutely agree.
Nick Martin as well is on there. Not sure who that. This is going to look awful. Not sure who the Gold Coast and GWS guys are.
I believe that's Sam Taylor, the GWS bloke, and I've got a funny.
Is it Noah Anderson?
No, I don't think that's Noah Anderson. Sorry, I think it's Charlie Ballard, but I feel like he's a little bit older than. I'm just pulling it up now. No, it would be Charlie Ballard, I believe. That I'm trying to go back to the stream. I believe Charlie Ballard and Sam Taylor are the other two players, but
yeah,
I might be wrong about the goal.
In regard to your comment though about Max King, what I was about to say, and Dan Frack sums it up nicely, is that Max has played he's only played 5-6 games this year, so he's not going to be in the top 5. So I don't think it's very unreasonable, to be honest. Mr. DJ Ruboy, Max has played 3 games all year. Josh, it's based off this season, so yeah, I think it's based off games played this year. So I think Max King is not stiff to miss out on the list. But more about statistics.
Oh, Jesus, Jordan, we really cooked it here. It was Tom Green and Anderson. Yeah, wow.
Was it actually? Is it Noah Anderson?
Can we pull that graphic up? Because I'm sorry, that doesn't look anything like Tom Green.
I think no, it is Noah Anderson, because Noah Anderson's 22.
Oh my god, it is Tom Green too. Wowee. Well, don't we look?
The man with his own fan club at Manuka Oval. How could we miss out on Tom Green?
Wowee. Anyway,
I'm not sure how he gets a fan club and Jack Steele, doesn't get one, even though he's a far better player. Maybe not this year, but far better player overall. Thanks, Josh,
well,
for
thank you,
letting us
Josh.
know about that, and be sure to bring that up in future broadcasts to remind us of how stupid we are for forgetting about two great players. Back to the data side of it, though. If we can take a look at Squiggle, you know how much I love Squiggle, Max.
You do love Squiggle.
Max and I again were having a not so much of a debate this time, but more of just a general chat about where St Kilda will finish come the end of the season. Now, this is a
Is that
cumulative
what you
ladder.
call it, Jordan? A general chat,
I would say it's a general chat.
not an
I'm not sure if
overreaction at all.
I'm not sure if it's an overreaction, Max, because if you take a look at the probabilistic ladder, 12.8 wins is not a hell of a lot more than Adelaide's 12.1 wins, and our percentage is projected right now, and our projection is not as good as Adelaide, so I don't think it was unrealistic. I personally would love St Kilda to finish in the top 8. It would break my heart if we don't, but if I do tend to worry that maybe we will finish 9th this season. I'm just a bit worried that our percentage isn't fantastic. Saints, let us know where you think we'll finish this year. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit biased and thinking St Kilda will finish firmly in the top 8. But, I'd love to get some realism a bit. Max, do you still see St Kilda finishing in the top 8?
Yep, as I said on our text messages, never waver. I think that I think we'd be worried if we don't win the 3 of Eagles, North, and Hawks. I know we lost to the Hawks at what was it, round 11? Was that when we
Yeah.
lost to them? Round
Yep.
11. I think that was more of a one-off as opposed to and Hawks just playing amazing footy because they ended up beating the Lions right after us. But I think if we drop those 3 games, and there's cause for concern, but if other than that, I think that's 3 wins we bank away, and you just got to win maybe 1 or 2 others, or probably 2 others.
You have to win at least 2 others, and you'll need a good percentage as well, because 12 wins and a good percentage last year was needed, Max. Ask Carlton fans about their percentage last year. You won't get a good answer. But yeah, 13 wins this year because it is a 24-round season. So 13 and a good percentage, or 14. So I'm going to guess we'll need probably 14. So 8 wins right now. If you want to bank, you can never bank it in with St Kilda, but if you want to bank in those 3 wins, I'll for your sake, I'll go ahead and bank those 3 wins. Where do you find the other 3 wins? You've got Richmond at home, Carlton at home, Geelong and Brisbane. Geelong at home, but Brisbane away will be extremely tough to win.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be difficult from here on out.
A little bit, but put it this way, I think. Look, it's about finding momentum now. It's about finding a bit of form, and that's when your selection integrity becomes integral to your final home stretch, because you don't want to be changing your list too much in rounds 20 to 24. Put it this way, I think if you beat the West Coast, if you can, we've got Gold Coast as well who are beatable, North are beatable, Hawthorn, Carlton, Richmond, all of those teams are beatable. And you know what? If you put 2 or 3 of those together, then you go against the Cats with a bit of a run on. You're like, oh, what's this? Do you see it? Sorry, I'm not articulating my words very well, but do you get what I'm sort of
I
saying?
do get what you mean, and I did forget we also have the Gold Coast. It is an away game, but yeah, that should be at least a winnable one for St Kilda. So yeah, apologies for that one, but yeah. I think what this ladder shows us most importantly is that we should be rooting for the teams around us to lose. So if you're like me and a football nuffy and you can't get enough of footy and watch every game, in every game you follow for the rest of this season, Saints, please, you should root for the Dogs, Essendon, Geelong, Adelaide and Richmond to lose, no matter who they're playing. Again, obviously, if they're playing each other, then maybe go for the umpires or something. But yeah, root for, what was it, Adelaide, Richmond, Geelong, Essendon and the Bulldogs to lose games. So please promise me that, if anything. What this ladder does show us is that we don't have a lot of breathing room. We don't have a lot of room for error. And if we take a look at Squiggle's feature of who won the round in 2023, so as we can see on the screen, it's an analysis of the ripple effect of the round's results according to the internet's finest computer model. So it factors in, other teams like Essendon lost. We lost, but it's not as bad because Essendon also lost. Who are the other teams around us that lost on the weekend? Adelaide, although they did lose, although they did lose, they only lost by 2 points away from home against, the flag favourites. So, that was an impressive showing by them. I was actually at that game. Fun fact. But yeah, Squiggle rates us as having the 16th, the third worst performing team in round. What was it? Round 15? Was it just round 15? I think round 15.
That's a bit. Sorry, Jordan. That's a bit harsh considering Carlton, North, Port, Dogs, Giants, and the Tigers had a bye.
Well, it's. I don't think it's performance, but I think Max it takes into account, the effect on finals. Our chances of making finals, like you see, we lost ground to Geelong, who won on the weekend, so their probability. But the combination of them winning and us losing meant we lost 1.4 projected wins on them. Adelaide as well, even though we both lost, they had a more honourable loss. As you can see, we had a dishonourable contested loss because we lost by 28 points, which is, the goal kicked on the siren really hurt us. Percentage does matter at this point in the year. I'm definitely confusing a lot of you with this probabilistic wins and losses. It's very confusing, and not even, people who've studied statistics for many, many years actually understand Squiggle as well. But it does show that percentage matters. So every goal we kick from now on is important, and it's exceptionally important that we absolutely smack the Eagles on Sunday. But enough about stats. Max, did you want to talk about some big calls we have to make in the off-season?
Yeah, just food for thought, I guess this is more. We talked about it in our mid-season review, and it got raised throughout the week. Players that are sort of in their prime, but in the next 3 to 4 years, maybe leaving their prime or exiting their prime. Players like Jade Gresham, Billings, Jones, Webster, just sort of those guys in the 20 or the sort of upper 20s. So I guess from 27 to 29 roughly. I think that we've got to make some decisions this offseason about whether we're going to retain a lot of those players, or in the next year or so we're going to start seeing them go elsewhere. I'm not sure who we retain and who we cut. I think that's we need to see how Billings goes. We need to see how Jones goes. We need to see how DMAC goes. A lot of players that haven't played AFL level yet. But yeah, I think there's definitely need to be a few big calls this offseason, and we need to be a little bit more ruthless in order to shape our list to play ideally in grand finals by 2026, 2027, 2028, whatever the sort of that timeline is. But yeah, that's sort of the big call, I guess. Who is going to stay around at the end of the year and who's going to be a part of that next premiership team? That's the decisions we have to start making over the next year to 2 years, I think, is our window to do that.
Yep. Some big off-season calls for me. I reckon some players we should go after is Tom de Koning. We've spoken a lot about him on this show. I believe that we should get him for the right price. Maybe not 800k, but something like 600k. I would be definitely open to it. Solves the Mitch Owens problem of having to throw him in the ruck because TDK is your secondary ruck option. And food for thought, Max, to use your to take a word out of your vocabulary. What might have been with Jordan De Goey? I never ever want to hear someone say that just because someone's badly behaved that we should not give him a contract. De Goey is a fantastic footballer. Obviously, what he has been alleged to do off the field and some of his antics are appalling, and we don't condone that here. However, this is the St Kilda Football Club, and beggars can't be choosers. At the end of the day, Max, on the final day of the year in September, ultimately, only one club experiences success and the other 17 experience disappointment. And St Kilda have been experiencing disappointment for 57 long years. So I think that we should never, ever stop going after a guy like De Goey. Yes, we did have a situation like what happened with, Andrew Lovett-Murray, but De Goey is a fantastic footballer. His X factor and ability to win the ball and kick a goal going up forward is phenomenal, and we definitely could have used him on Friday night. It's worth taking a punt on someone like De Goey. I don't understand why we initially gave him the good behaviour clause. He almost definitely would have come to us if we just said 5 years, we'll give you what you want, come down to Moorabbin. We need a match winner like him. And yeah, I don't understand why we did that anyway. But that's just me ranting, and let's move on because
Sorry, Jordan. I would like to throw my 2 cents in there. I think why we were a little bit more hesitant with the go was just because we've had that bad experience the last 4 years or 5 years now of Dan Hanbury's contract where we paid the big bucks to get a big name player in, obviously didn't live up to the contract and didn't live up to sort of the hype or the potential that was around. I reckon we were a bit nervous. So look, we said off the stream that, yeah, it would have been awesome to have to go in. When a player like that says, I want to come to your club or I'm looking to leave my club, you sort of throw whatever you can at him. But at the same time, I do understand from an office side that if you failed on your last 2 big back-to-back signings, being Hanbury and then being being De Goey, then it looks really poorly upon the club. And it makes it harder in future to get a big free agent. Someone I do think that we could target this offseason, though, someone that's gone, I guess not under the radar at all in terms of the media, but in terms of how he's played since he's been back into the North Melbourne side. Taron Thomas, very, very similar to the situation that De Goey sort of found him in 12, 18 months ago. Was a bit bad off the field, whatnot, but in terms of his football ability, Jesus, he a player. Do you have any thoughts on Taron Thomas, Jordan?
I think he's come into some good form over the past couple of weeks. I don't think he has a resume quite like De Goey's. But just on your comment about, I do understand Dan Hanbury and the concerns about Jordan De Goey. But, in the words of Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, we could have, I reckon it would have been far better for us to have, got De Goey and him not live up to the expectations versus we don't get him and he plays, like he is. And he's not even playing at his peak performance like he is now. Just wait till finals because he is a superstar and he will play like a superstar if and when it'll be when Collingwood make finals and possibly even make a grand final this year, which annoys the hell out of me. But yeah, he is a superstar. I would love to have had him at the St Kilda Football Club. And you say it tatters our reputation if we go and get Dan Hanbury and De Goey and they both don't live up to the expectation. St Kilda is not a club, Max, that has a good reputation to begin with at having star footballers, to be perfectly honest with you. St Kilda's not a club that people go, wow, I wish I barracked for them, or wow, I wish I played for them. Because that's just the reality we're in. So you take a risk. In my opinion, you take a risk on someone like De Goey. But we could be here all night. So let's move on from that.
Sorry, Jordan, I just want to pull up a few comments. We haven't gone through a couple of the comments in a sec. Beth reckons we got absolutely played by De Goey. I reckon, you know what, from De Goey and his agent's standpoint, probably spot on. Lured out Collingwood to say, hey, give me the 800,000, 900,000. And then, went back to them the second he gave it. Jamie put up a great point. Crouch had question marks and came good. And you're right, the first 2 weeks that he signed to the Saints, he was unfortunately suspended in 2021. But, yeah, he's been absolutely unreal for us. Did have question marks leaving the Crom.
Xavier's comment, I don't believe he was playing us, to be honest, because he didn't even get he got 150,000 less than what he wanted from Collingwood, so he didn't even get what he wanted in the end. Yes, there's probably a little bit of he used us in a bit of negotiating, but I still think he would have been willing at the end of the day, and he wasn't playing a game of chicken here. Collingwood matched our offer. You never really want to leave the club that got you there, and Collingwood's certainly in a better position than we are in challenging for a premiership. So obviously, if we offered a similar amount of money on the same amount of years, he was going to choose the Pies. But he still got 150k less than what he was asking for. So I don't think he played us at all, to be honest.
Simon's made a really great point, just in terms of general incoming players. We need players that want to be at St Kilda, but not only be at St Kilda, want to create something. It's not about going to a club like Collingwood or Hawthorn, Carlton, who have had sustained success over their history, maybe not in recent times, but over their history, they've been awfully successful clubs. We want someone to come in and go, I want to be a part of the second St Kilda Premiership. I want to build this club up to be one of the bigger clubs in Victoria and do this, this, and this. And I think that's exactly the player that we need to focus on. Even if they are a little bit worse off in terms of talent-wise on the football field, if they've got that heart and desire to make a club better, then that you'd rather have someone like that than a player that's here just to get a big bag of money and play a few games of football.
Yeah, well, that is easier said than done. I don't think every player that goes into it, that walks into a meeting about their contract is going to say, "Yeah, I want to stick around. I really want to help St Kilda win a premiership. I want to build something here." Whether that's true or not is obviously up to only they know. So it's all well and good to say, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Max. We do need that. That is crucial, but actually obtaining that is easier said than done. Just quickly, we'll take a look at the injury list, and I'll give you guys a quick summary. Hunter Clark returns to full training this week. Jack Hayes and Matty Allison also likely to return to full training this week. Nick Caulfield is on a modified program, so a bit of a lighter load for him, and Tim Membry returns to light duties. So why don't we preview the Eagles here, Max? Who do you think could return from the VFL? You've seen the title of this stream, obviously, and the thumbnail. Jake reckons we could swing. Well, Jake reckons that Ross may swing the axe. Who do you reckon we could bring in from the VFL?
First and foremost, I think Jack Billings comes in. You put in his stats, thankfully for us. 3 goals, 23 disposals, 7 inside 50s. Primed and ready now. He needs to come back into a side, especially against a weaker opponent, just to find his footing at AFL level. He definitely needs someone that needs to be back into the side. For me as well, Jack Bartel, he also should be coming back into the side. 26 disposals, 13 tackles, and you've mentioned that he's averaging 5 tackles a game at VFL level. I think, our midfield, we need to see everything in our midfield now. We need to see as much rotation as possible, and getting some fresh legs in there like Jack Bartel would be awesome. And as we mentioned before, I reckon Tom Campbell comes in. So those are the 3 big key ins. Billings, Bartel, and Tom Campbell to make a return to AFL hopefully this week.
Yep, I put that in. I put the averaging 4.7 tackles a game in for Jack Bartel's stat max on our run sheet here, because I really want to highlight that selection integrity is something that we all talked about earlier in the year and how important it was. Well, let's see how whether selection integrity remains at the St Kilda Football Club, because 13 tackle when you're only averaging 4.7 tackles a game, and I say only, that's still pretty good. Comparatively to other midfielders in the VFL, and especially on our list at Sandy, to go and get 13 tackles in a game is very impressive. So that shows he's having a bit of a purple patch, or at least he had a good game last week. Can he back that up to the AFL level? I don't know, but it would be good to see Jack Bartel. It would be good to see Ross maintain selection integrity at St Kilda by picking Jack Bartel this week. As for who goes out, who do you think should maybe be a couple of outs?
Sorry, let me just pull up who played for us on the weekend. I think that's a good indicator of where we need to start.
You think someone like a Ben Patton maybe on the go?
So absolutely, as we mentioned before, I think Webster and Patton can play in the same team. So I reckon you got to pick one of them and put Billings on the wing or half forward flank, wherever he's going to play this season. Ronnie Burns potentially is dropped. He only had the 7 touches, ironically, and unfortunately he got subbed right after he kicked the goal. And I think it was the 3rd quarter, but yeah, he had a pretty quiet performance. Just going through our list, I think those are the 2 big names. Maybe someone like Marcus gets dropped. Granted, I don't think dropping a younger player ahead of a maybe easier opponent is the best thing to do. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think maybe Caminiti gets a break.
Could it be time to give Philippa a rest? I've seen a couple of comments about, Mateo. Going back to Ryan Burns for a second, sorry, before I forget. I think someone with his gut running ability should stick in the team. I think that's clearly part of Ross's game plan. I'd be absolutely shocked if Ryan Burns was, not given a contract. I'm not sure what his current deal is, but I think he's part of. I'd be shocked if he wasn't part of Ross's future plans. Is what I'm trying to say. But do you think it could be time to give Mateus a rest?
Not against the Eagles, but definitely against maybe someone like Melbourne. I think you can give him a rest then. Just because I don't think you should be resting your younger players in games where they can find a little bit of form, or games where there's a lot more opportunity to go around. Nice yawn there, Jordan.
I am a little bit tired, as I'm sure many of our viewers are. It is getting a little bit late, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I just don't think you should be resting. A good balance of younger and senior players in a team going against a team like the Eagles is probably best for us. So I reckon Anthony Caminiti comes out for Tom Campbell. So we see Tom Campbell as the main ruck and Rowan Marshall as the secondary option in the forward line and as the ruck. And then I also probably see I don't know, maybe Ronnie Burns just has the week off and he comes back. He's managed. Maybe Jade Gresham gets a spell. He only had 11 touches and a goal on the weekend, or on Friday night, I should say. Maybe that's a big thing to give the boys a kick up the arse. That really sets the tone for everyone going into finals or going into the back half of the year.
What
Still
do
to
you
have
think?
another
Yeah,
one.
I'd like to gauge your thoughts on giving Steele a rest because I'm not a big advocate for that. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, look, he's clearly not right. He's not 100%, and I think he's openly said that. There's been problems with his knee now, as well as his shoulder, and he's just been in the wars the last 2 years, which is a bit unfortunate. Look, if Steele being rested is definitely a possibility. I'd like to see though whoever is brought, if Steele is rested, whoever is brought in needs to really step up. There needs to be multiple players on 25 touches or whatever it is that going to take his role and get a lot of tackles. Because other than that, Steele, I think he's so good that even we mentioned it the other week, he's still averaging 23 touches and I think 5 or 6 tackles. It's like not to the standard that Steele's at, but for a midfielder, it's still damn good.
Yeah, well, I think my problem with resting Steele, and I disagree here, Xavier. I think I would be okay if you played Steele for half the game against the Eagles, like you either subbed him off or you brought him on as a midi sub. I'm really worried about him losing match fitness. He's missed a lot of time over the last 2 years. And Steele at his best is what we absolutely need for finals. He's not playing at his best right now. We know that. You guys know that. He knows that. Most importantly, but I'm concerned about him losing match fitness. I really don't want him to lose any of his fitness. I think that'll be and to give him a break. He'll have a 10-day. I can't do maths. He'll have a 9-day break now. So between Friday night and Sunday Arvo. The game against the Eagles is 4:40, so we'll see how that goes. We've had a good chat tonight about potential ins and outs. Obviously, we're not the selectors, so we don't actually know what's going to happen. But yeah, couple
So
of couple of thoughts. Yeah, in the comments. Yep, Chris agrees with me. Sub's a good call.
Keep him on the bench. I'm not sure if that means just as managing him and then putting him on the bench to be there for the boys, or if that just means resting him. But either or, it's everyone's got their own opinion, and I don't think there is a wrong opinion about where we're at right now. Just because we're in a time of diversity at Saints, and was diversity the right word? But we're in a time where everyone's 2 losses in a row. It's happened the first time this year, and everyone's a little bit nervous. So I think it's okay to be throwing your opinions out there, because who knows? Maybe Ross is listening to this, Jordan. Maybe someone inside the 4 walls of St Kilda is reading through the comments going, oh, that's actually a good idea. I might present that at the meeting on Thursday.
Actually, I might have a bone to pick with Ross Lyon, actually, because as you know, we were at the open training on Wednesday morning, and I got a photo with him that you took. Thank you for taking that. And yeah, it turns out he's a bit under the weather at the moment, so I really hope he hasn't made me sick. I'm a little bit tired. Maybe that's the fatigue is the first sign of sickness. So hopefully he hasn't. Fingers crossed. But Ross, if you're watching, hi first of all, big fan, and hope you feel better. But if you are, if you have made me sick, maybe owe me a beer or something. So Max, why don't we end the show how we always do and go into some score predictions?
Score predictions. I'd be upset if we didn't take advantage of the Eagles in their most vulnerable time. We haven't seen a massive win this year. I know it's going to be ridiculously hard, especially with Eagles coming off a 171-point loss. Who knows what they're going to do defensively to try and mitigate their percentage or their percentage losses. Yeah, I reckon we can see a revamped Eagles team even. I don't know. But I think when they're trying to figure everything out this week, the message should be we need to lay the foot down in the first quarter and not look back. And that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see at least a 60-point win in Saints' favour. We need to kick over 120, I reckon, to make me feel good that we can score goals from other means other than Max King.
Yep, I think we either need a really low score from the Eagles, like I'm talking under 30, or a really big score from us over 150. As the Squiggle projection ladder shows us, a percentage is crucial, and a good percentage, as we talked about earlier, 13 and a good percentage, or 14 wins gets us into finals. So a good percentage acts as an extra win in the AFL, not just this year, but always as a good rule. And the fact we're only playing the Eagles once and it's away does hurt us because teams like Adelaide and I believe Essendon also get to play the Eagles twice. So, good luck to them. It's a bit unfair, but whatever. They get to play the Eagles twice. I'm sure they'll take full advantage of that. So we need to take advantage as much as we can this week. Your boy Swarbs reckons St Kilda will win 165 to the Eagles 24. Guy, a bit less optimistic, St Kilda 67 to West Coast 46. I reckon if that's the final scoreline, that will be probably the worst game of AFL in the history of AFL. That's probably not even a game worth watching for St Kilda and West Coast fans. Josh reckons we should win by at least 50. Jamie, 10 goals, that would be pretty handy. Simon, please don't poke the bear. I was absolutely shitting myself that Adam Simpson would get sacked after the Swans game, and thank goodness he hasn't, because as we know, coaches after they get sacked, the interim coach in their first game almost always gets a win. So thank God he hasn't been sacked. Maybe he will after this week. Hopefully, if he gets given the sack after this week, we'll feel good about ourselves because we contributed to that. Josh agrees with you, Maxi. It's all about the first quarter. Chris, St Kilda by almost 100 points. Mr. DJ Ruboy reckons a 10-point win. Bryce just win. Guy can't do maths, neither can I, Guy. That's all right. Or spell. Well, I can't speak at the moment, Guy. So maybe we'll call that a draw there. Hopefully we don't get a draw on the weekend. But thanks for letting us know. Max, do you want to get up your word wheel from Beth?
No need for the word wheel tonight. As
Always come prepared, ladies and gentlemen.
I've come prepared. Nervous. I am nervous as well. Not because, actually, I'm a little bit nervous just because West Coast are coming off this 171-point loss. But I'm also just nervous because it's season defining. Yeah, we said that about the Spuds game, and then we said it the week before about the Richmond game. But this is seriously season defining. If we get a bit of momentum out of this game, we can go and a bit of confidence against Melbourne. Then after that, we've got Gold Coast, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, all them to play for the rest of the year. I think if we can't get this week right in terms of tactically and strategically, tactically, and then execution, then yeah, I'd be pretty nervous for what the season holds after that. But I still reckon we'll get the win, hopefully by 60.
I'm going to go with the word apathetic for me, Sainers. I do, well, maybe apathetic's the wrong word. I do care about this game, obviously. I care about every single game. But, it's one where I'm pretty confident we'll get the win. We should win by a lot. I do care about the final margin, though. That does matter to me, as I'm sure you guys know that I love my stats. Percentage does matter. But, not a whole lot of interest in this game, to be honest. It's against the Eagles. It's over in Perth. I will be there. So if you're from Perth and you're watching and you see me in the stadium, come say hi. I promise I don't bite. Maybe only after St Kilda lose. Maybe I bite. Just not really the most interesting game. I'm pumped, more pumped for the Melbourne game on prime time. Saturday night football should be amazing in the following week, but yeah, maybe not against the Eagles. Simon's feeling something similar. He's feeling flat. Wayne nervous. Jamie also reckons the players may be a bit nervous. Also, yeah, if we lose to the Eagles, that'd be pretty shit, to be honest. I'm not going to apologise for the language there. That would be incredibly shit. He's not at all pumped. Beth agrees. Disinterested. It's a good word. I think it's unfortunately involved. Yeah, I think maybe we're showing a lack of passion. For Spud on Friday night was maybe a little bit disappointing. Maybe not the effort. Maybe not as there. Foreboding. Dan Thrax has thrown in a comment. Sucks that we're the last game in the round, so we have to wait all weekend for it. Or you can look at it on the positive, Dan Thrax. If we don't win by a lot, or God forbid, we lose, they haven't ruined our weekend. So, take that as you will. Maybe they've just ruined our week. Okay, that wasn't so positive. But, stop all the talk about losing. Chris, unfortunately, you go into every game and there is a possibility of us losing. Hopefully we win, though.
No, you know what, Jordan? Chris, you were absolutely spot on, because I had to listen to Jordan vent to me on Monday, I think it was, or might have even been Sunday Arvo, about how fearful he was about this game coming up. And yeah, you know what?
To be fair, that's when I thought Adam Simpson was going to get sacked. So I wasn't sure about that. But now that I know, now I'm more confident. So let's call a spade, Max. Let's tell the full story here.
I don't care. You were venting. I don't want to hear that.
Impactful is the word from Chris. Guys feeling hopeful.
Oh, you put this one? Discombobulated. I like that.
I don't actually know what that means.
Means like you're not. Your bearings aren't quite right. You're a little bit discombobulated.
That's an Eminem song, isn't it? Discombobulated.
Pardon?
That's an Eminem. Eminem released a song, didn't he? Saying discombobulated or something or other.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of the night where we need to wrap up now.
I think we're a little bit exhausted, Sainers. We have actually gone for longer than we usually do. I've noticed an hour and 11 minutes. But play to have a big game, Max.
Play to have a big game. Ooh. Someone in the forward line. You know what? Screw it. Someone, or maybe he does play forward line, maybe more on the wing. Jack Billings, get back into the side, mate. Kick 3 goals, have 20 touches, just sort of show everyone why we sort of kept you, or maybe not why we kept you waiting, but show that you're the right decision moving forward to be part of the finals push for the last 8 rounds or so of the season.
All right, my player may be a little bit boring, but I'm going to say Max King. Fuck it. I reckon he's going to kick 35 goals this game. Well, hopefully we do as a team. No, I reckon Max will have a big score. Should kick at least 5. He kicked six, I think, against the Eagles last couple of years ago. Loves up the stadium. Kicked 4 against the Dockers in round 2, 2022, and it was 6. I think round 19, 2021, if my memory serves me correctly. You know what? I'm going to look that up because I'm interested to knowing if my memory is that good.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah.
I'm actually very good. Not to toot my own horn. Sorry, that was a bit arrogant. I'm a bit tired, folks. But yeah, round 19, 2021, kick 6 against the Eagles. So hopefully he performs the way he did back then. Wayne reckons, I think this is Brad Crouch, unless we've got a new player called Couch in the team. Ross will choke them if they don't win. Yes, I think he would, and I think maybe all of us would choke them if they don't win. Ironically, if they don't win, they will have choked. Okay, my humour's getting worse and worse as the night goes on.
Was it ever
Josh
good?
Battle. Sorry?
Was it ever really good though?
Yeah, okay, Max. Let's move on here. Josh Battle was in his voice when he was interviewed post-game. Good, I'd love to hear that. We haven't won, may not have won the battle, but we've won the war, and this just keeps getting worse and worse. But yeah, Guy reminds me not to swear because we might get demonetized. Apologies for the swearing, but I don't know if it's something that we haven't all heard before. I think we should probably wrap it up there, Maxi.
Yeah, exactly right. Just want to say tonight was probably the most engagement we've had in a while, excluding player interviews with Spider and Schwartz and Cozzy and all the rest. Yeah, there was a lot of you commenting tonight, so thank you for that. And Simon, thank you. Chris, thank you. Jamie says thank you. Like there was a lot of new faces tonight, which was awesome to see. So hopefully we keep hitting your screens on Tuesday Arvo, also Tuesday nights, I should say. And next week we come back to you with a big win. Just a reminder, guys, check out the podcasts, the other weekly videos if you haven't already.
Yep, as always, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all your support. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night and have a great week.
Go the Saints.
See you guys next time.